So welcome to Arts and Humanities. It's a guided pathway, and we'll discuss what guided pathway is because that's a new terminology that we're being using at the community college. So before we get started, for attending this workshop and even your odds, Vanessa, are really awesome because we're going to be raffling 10 gift cards based on the number of attendees. So
Okay. You're in there.
So all participants must be a Barsta student, and you need to participate for at least the 45 minutes. Just because at the end of the presentation, we'll have a link for you to do the participation for the drawing. And it will also ask you questions about the presentation, what your thoughts were. And so, that's why it's important that you fill out the form. I will put the link at the end of the presentation. And then all the winners will be announced on Friday, August 21st at 3 p.m. through our BCC YouTube channel. So those are like our housekeeping rules. So this is the Arts and Humanities. So there's a lot of different majors that fall under Arts and Humanities, not just only art or humanities, but other things. These courses emphasize the study of culture, literature, humanistic activities, artistic expressions of human beings. And definitely it is something that most students might feel like they want to be able to express or understand other people around the world or culture. So how do you know this majors for me? So that's a big question. I think a lot of students ask like, oh, I'm interested in this, but does it really do what I want it to do for me? So for humanities, you might love to communicate in written, musical, visual forms, appreciate culture, history, experiences, have a curiosity for the world and its people. You're open-minded and adaptable. You respect, appreciate diversity, appreciate art, music, literature, culture, philosophy, maybe enjoy performing. So those are kind of like in general, not necessarily does every major need those things or you want to have those things, but they encompass like a general. I don't know if you want to add something to that, Susan.
Well, absolutely. And when we look at what a big part of the humanities is to study what it is to be human and what are the things that human beings do. It's not a matter of just going through and looking at, well, let's see, humans write, they express themselves, they communicate, they make art, they express themselves in a variety of ways. And so one of my favorite things about the humanities is that it's great for people who want to think, because that's a huge part of being a humanities major. It's really about thinking and visualizing the way the world is or has been or can be. There's just so many, it's so wide open for the most important part about being human. I see Jennifer's here. Jennifer Worland is our communications instructor. And Jen, you're going to be really happy to know that Vanessa here is a communications major. So yes, I knew that would thrill you. I think that one of the things that we talk about, if we want to talk about Guided Pathways is a new program that's been around for a few years now. We're really been getting it off the ground in the last couple of years. And what it is it's designed to help students figure out, what do I want to know about? What do I want to learn? What do I want to major in? And then how do I do that? How do I major in those things? And so it's figuring out that path, choosing that path, getting yourself on the path, staying on the path, and getting to that end goal of that degree, whether that's to transfer or a certificate or whatever your goal is. It's to make sure that that we clear that pathway for you. And so Guided Pathways has been a great way for students to to figure out, what is it that I want to do. We have, I think we've just doubled our APs. We've doubled them just in the last year. So that's pretty remarkable. I'm going to let Lilia go through. When we get to the communications, I think Jennifer needs to
For sure.
jump up and down and
Have
talk
the
about
expert.
that. But
Yeah.
yeah, did you want to talk about art history?
So if you're interested in art history or we thought about art history, it definitely gives you a solid foundation to transfer and maybe pursue careers in education, museum, research, or related fields. You know, mostly it could be theory-based as well as artistic based. You know, you're actually doing the drawing, the painting, or you could talk about, you know, more like a history of art. So we definitely have both types of courses on Barstow College. And so basically, you know, if this major is for you, if you like to enjoy those details, be creative, appreciate aesthetics, are open-minded, you're organized, self-disciplined, you know, again, the communication skills come through, and just learning and enjoying art, and, you know, be willing to, I guess, express yourself in many areas.
You're going to see a lot of those same things in a lot of the ADTs, because the humanities is all about interdisciplinary. And so it touches on so many different things. I think that's one of the things I enjoy the most about any of the humanities, is that it gives you an opportunity to try all kinds of different things. I'm that all the things person. So that's the beauty of humanities.
Mm-hmm. And so these are some career examples, because a lot of students do ask us in counseling, you know, what can I do with my major? And what besides art? You know, like if I decide to do art history, what can I do? And of course, they're not limited to just obtaining an associate degree. Sometimes you have to take a more advanced degrees. There are sometimes certifications. So, but definitely in the realm of art history, you could look into being an archivist, a professor, high school teacher, museum curator, museum exhibit designer, and talent agent. So, and then it kind of shows you on the middle, the growth, that means like, what is the rate of employment? So what's the percentage that I would find a job within that field? So definitely art history is growing, you know, and you might think, oh my God, 12% is very low. Definitely it's not. When you compare it to other fields, I've seen some fields where it's very limited, the growth, like under 5%. So definitely it is a growing field. And then it does talk about medium salary depending on the career that you're looking at. So it kind of gives you an average. You know, sometimes it could be a little less, sometimes it could be a little bit more, but based on the median, which that's the average, that would you be looking at salary based on those careers. And I got this data from the ONET, which is definitely a labor market research website. So definitely this is something that has been researched, definitely about careers and salaries. Any questions about that? No? Okay. So here we go. This is the communication ADT. And so I also did it kind of in alphabetical order, the degrees and certificates that we have. And so definitely this is a new major that we have at Barstow. I'm very excited about that. So I think I'm gonna, you know, hand it over to Jennifer Warland, or one of our professors in our communication department.
Hi. Well, I wasn't really prepared, but I can talk about this because I love talking about communications, and I am the communications person, so let's do it. And did I hear correctly, Vanessa, you're a communication studies major?
Yes, ma'am.
That's very exciting. We'll be getting to know each other, I think. So communications ADT, again, you probably described ADTs right already. It's a career that can, or it's a major that can prepare you for journalism, for teaching, for public relations. It kind of is across the board. When you think about communication studies, you're thinking about everything from intrapersonal, which is how we communicate with ourselves, all the way up to media and mass communication. So basically, kind of touching on what Susan said about the humanities being sort of into everything. Communications itself is kind of like that within humanities, in the sense that you are touching a lot of different things. So if you are more interested in going into sort of the media-based or even film school or things like that, you can do that with the foundation of communications. But it's also about debate. It's also about how we talk to each other. And it's just a really important skill, and you're getting that foundation with this associate's degree of all those different avenues of communication. So some of the courses that we are offering now. So Com 5, which is Intro to Communication Theory. You'll be wanting to take that probably right off the bat. If you're not registered for that, maybe look into that, because that's going to really be where you explore basically the foundational concepts of what we study in communications, why we study it, who studies it. Com 1, the public speaking, which is also a Golden 4. That's just important for life. And so, as you can see, we're encouraging you to take statistics, and of course your English courses. All of that is right on there. Basically, this is the pathway that was designed to optimize your courses. Interpersonal communications we offer, that's how we talk to each other. Argumentation and debate, that's coming up. That's another one, and that's one that Cal State LA requires you to have to transfer. So that's a good one to have, and that's how we communicate in persuasive ways, how we can argue our points. And then we have Com 2, which is oral interpretation of literature. I'm not sure when hopefully we'll be offering that. That's kind of a fun one that kind of bridges between theater and public speaking, and how we sort of analyze literature in a performative way. And then Com 6, which is intercultural communication, because communication is different in different places, and understanding how there are nuances in communication makes us a much better global citizen. So that's what that is about. I don't know, that's all what I have to say about that.
That's great. And so like we mentioned before, this is a new ADT, and what an ADT means, it's kind of like a guarantee to transfer. And so that's what an ADT means. So you're getting an associate degree to transfer. So they're a little different from just transferring. So one of the perks about doing an ADT is that you're guaranteed a spot at the Cal State when you decide to apply to a Cal State, and more other private schools are accepting ADTs. So it's kind of like a guarantee that you met all the requirements before you leave Barstow. And then when you're transferring, you're always working on your upper division. So mostly that's where you're going to be very involved in your major. You're going to be like immersed in your major at the time you transfer. So that's what it's going to do. And so this is kind of like, these are new, the pathways. So basically, we're going to be starting soon and getting these published. And so that way students can look at them. And so like yourself, where you say, oh, I'm a communication major, what would be recommended to take in my first semester? Then basically you would guide yourself with this. So, semester 1, wherever, if you start in the fall, you start in the spring, that's still your semester 1 for you, because that's when you started. So then you would go, oh, this is the path. I would take 14 units on my first semester, second semester would take 16. So it's kind of like a guide, not only for your major, but also with general ed and to transfer. And so altogether, it would add up to, 60 units. Sometimes we go a little past maybe 61, 62, but normally we try to keep it exactly at 60. Also, these sheets will eventually, like I said, be published. And so basically it also lets you know in this area, like what can I be doing every semester to get ready and, move forward with my degree. So it kind of does, give you advice when to start looking at transferring, looking at schools, when should you be checking in with your counselor, checking our transfer center websites, and, all that stuff would be outlined. So this is one of the neat things about guided pathways, is that now there's like a beginning to an end based on the major. Any questions about that?
No.
Okay, perfect. So definitely see our counseling staff, our counselors, that we could give you more information about how the major works. And hopefully when we will be offering courses, like I said, it's a new major. So sometimes we don't offer every single class, every single semester. So we do kind of maybe have them every, one fall, one spring, and then maybe some will have them, in a 2-year cycle. Okay.
Just so you know, we're offering every single one of the comm courses this semester, except for oral interpretation. So there's a section of argument, there's a section, I believe, of intercultural, and I know there's a section of theories. So they're all going, and then the ones that we've always had before.
Okay. For this semester, I'm taking Introduction to Public Speaking.
Yes, so that's Comm 1. Are you one of mine in my classes yet? Or
I don't believe so. I'm actually I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Dr. Bebe?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome.
So these are some career examples, and I think Ms. Warland went over some of them, but I don't know if you want to add to that. And it's definitely a growing field.
Yeah, this is a really popular field, especially when you think about the way media is changing, the way communication is changing. Obviously, we've all been thrust into communicating via technology. So again, there's specialized fields. So like patient advocacy, when you go into like health education or hospital communication. There's also different types of like management positions. You can go in, like I spoke of before, entertainers, educators, public relations. That's a huge one, is, being able to communicate for other people, social services type things, and like we said before, journalism, even if you wanted, philosophy and English are great foundations for law school, but so is communication. So different things if you wanted to go into graduate schools. Again, this is a very, as you can see, kind of open. So if you wanted to go into entertainment, that'll be a leg you can go into. If you want to go into media, that's a leg you can go into. If you want to go into public service or healthcare, counseling. So these are the things that you can look into, especially when you transfer, because it'll become more specialized when you get that transfer. And Lilia, I'm correct in saying that if they get an ADT there, they are guaranteed junior status, right? So,
yes.
Yeah, and that's usually when you're determining your specialization, which you can see on the list here. So that's what I got for that.
Yeah, and this is, like I said, these are some of careers and examples. Obviously, there's way more. So this is just to give students a general idea of what they can look into, and then, growth in, finding employment, and also salary placement. Okay. So now we have English.
Yay!
Nylander's specialty, so go ahead.
Absolutely. Well, Ms. Warland was talking about the fact that English and philosophy and communications are all great degrees as a foundation for, say, going to law school or some other, post-degree degrees, graduate degrees. So what's great about English is that, again, sometimes people think English is all about just grammar and spelling and punctuation, but it's so much more. Grammar, spelling, and punctuation, that's the least of it. mostly what we do in English is we look at broad ideas, big ideas. We look at the ways that people have expressed those ideas in writing. We do a lot about critical thinking. We look a lot at creativity and creating our ideas, getting them on paper or on screen. One of the things that I love to be able to talk to students about, the importance of writing. And I'm not dissing communications, but you know, once something is spoken, it's out there, you've heard it, okay. When something is written, the writing outlives the writer. And that's one of the beauties of the fact that we've really only had written communication for about 5,000 years, at least the way we understand it now. And so that's not a very long time for humans to have been, communicating in written form. But the writing outlives the writer. And so there's a reason that we will be reading things that people wrote in the 18th, 19th centuries, because they're writing about what it is to be human. Yes, they were writing about things that they were dealing with in their time, but guess what? It's probably still relevant in our time. And we can learn so much from the people that came before. So it's awesome. We can actually, people say, oh, you can't time travel. You can if you read, because it will take you to another place. You open a book. Walt Whitman said, "Who are you holding me in your hands right now?" Walt Whitman died in 1892. But when we open his text and we read it, he's alive again. And that's the beauty of literature and writing. And so you can kind of tell this is my favorite thing. So it's a great, great major. So if you know other people who are interested in writing, who are interested in English, again, spelling, punctuation, grammar, that's the least of it. We don't even really, you can get that done, great. Unless you want to be an editor or a copy editor, then you really do have to focus on those things. But once you have that down, communication, written communication is the important part. So when you're looking at the different ways to turn that English major into a career, again, these are sort of, there's a lot of education. English obviously has a lot of educational opportunities for careers. But beyond that, if you're talking about magazine writing, these days, everybody is blogging like crazy. So you have an opportunity to write, to get your words out there. If you want to create your own zine, if you want to create ways of communicating, again, writing, broadcasting, newspaper, and online newspapers now, right? We don't use a lot of print newspapers anymore, but online newspapers, again, there's so much writing going on online in social media that an English major has potential beyond the education field, way beyond. Again, it's a great way to, if you're interested in becoming an attorney, it's a great, hi Samara, it's a great foundation for that, because it gives you those skills that you need to communicate in writing, and it goes way beyond. Oh, technical writer. This is a really great thing to tell you about too, that it's not just literature. I have a friend who I went to graduate school with. She's now a technical writer. Oh man, she's like way beyond six figures at this point, because she got her degree the same as me in composition and rhetoric. She's a technical writer. She now actually works with engineers, and she takes what they say and puts it into regular speak. And so as a technical writer, you can make a whole lot more than that. That really, 70,000 would be an entry level, so technical writers, that's a really big growing field, FYI. But there's so many. Broadcast, talk about broadcast, right? There's lots that you can do with an English degree beyond. And again, with the blogs, with social media, with online, everybody's writing. Everybody's writing. Not everybody's communicating well through written words. And that's what is why an English major is really important. Speech writing, you can become a speech writer. You can become, so there's so many different ways to use an English degree. People don't think about that. Marketing and promotions, a lot of that.
So great. So we'll move on with history ADTs. So definitely it's to bring awareness about the past and the present, and it cultivates appreciation for community. So we definitely have an ADT history degree. So these are some of the things that you might want to consider when you're thinking about a major. And they're very similar, as you could see, the communication, the writing skills, the reading, just enjoying other people and about learning about other cultures. So careers that you could get into is, fields in law, we talked about that, maybe in the future, public administration, foreign service, journalism, business, teaching. So there's a lot you could do also with the history degree. This is some of the examples that you could do. And some are similar to others. And definitely it's something to consider when you're thinking about, what's the growing field? What can I do with it? And what would be the pay? Because I know a lot of students are like, how much am I going to earn? And what's the potential? And definitely, like they said, this is just the beginning. Doesn't mean that that's it. Definitely as you get expertise and move on forward, have more experience, definitely, this is definitely, just the beginning, and definitely will grow more. Okay. So we do have a new ADT also in philosophy. So this is more like a, thinking critically, more rational, kind of thinking about our existence, religion. And so I don't know if any one of you want to mention a little bit more about philosophy.
Philosophy is a great major because it does, again, it's a humanities degree because you're asking the big questions. Yeah. The big questions in philosophy, right? Why are we here? What are we here to do? What can we learn from what's come before? What's a good way of thinking? Thinking is a huge part of philosophy, and that's really what you're doing. Is you're looking at the best ways to acquire language, the kinds of thought processes that we go through, logic, really, really important. So again, philosophy, history, communications, English, they're all connected. And that's a big part of what the humanities brings about. So philosophy is a great one for people who want to go beyond just the kind of surface ideas. We all should take some philosophy classes, but if you really want to get into it and be a very, very deep thinker, then philosophy is a great major. And there's different schools of thought where philosophy is concerned. So you had the Greeks and you had the Romans and you have the Germans in the 19th century. So all of these different ways of thinking, ways of deciding what's moral, what should we do, and why should we do the things that we do? How do we approach what it is to be human and to live with one another and to build civilizations? These are all based in philosophy. What's the best way to be the best human I can be? So again, if you're interested in really deep thought, absolutely take some philosophy classes. But if you really want to major in it, that's you really want to be a deep thinker, then you can major in that. And surprisingly, there's again a lot of ways to earn your living as a philosopher, right? Just like English, just like communications. Mm-hmm. There you go. the deep thinking is so important. So there's some ideas. Again, editor, because you're working with language, and that's kind of an interesting thought. Look at the software engineers. They do have to think outside the box. Philosophy does help you think outside the box, think in new ways, and step back from what's immediate and then look at a bigger picture. So philosophy has a lot of good things to recommend it.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't just all make your head explode either. It can.
No, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so this is what our guided pathways are. It's definitely something that will help students kind of like figure out early on if they want to do this major, because it does do an introduction to that major as well, and kind of figure out, is this what I want to do? So it does map it out. If you saw the 2 ADTs that I showed you, communications and philosophy, it kind of helps you. So we have them all for all of them, but I wanted to highlight our 2 new ones, so that's why I did that. So it does have the end in mind. So basically it's aligning the courses, getting you started. I get a lot as a counselor, when will I finish? So, if I get started now, when will my graduation date be? So basically that's how you answer the question. It would take you 2 years to finish a degree without any interruptions, as long as you don't drop courses, as long as you're not repeating courses, you're moving from point A to point B to C and D. You should be done in 2 years. So that's what we're trying to do. And if you want to do summer school, if you notice, we didn't put summer in our ADTs. So that's even, sometimes you could even finish it faster by doing and joining us in the summer courses. So definitely that's another opportunity to maybe finish your degree a little faster by doing that. So you would talk to your counselor, definitely, if you want to do an ADT or any path. This is regardless of, we have certificates, we have associate degrees, we help students transfer or get into the workforce. Whatever it is that you need, then we will definitely help you out. So we want to make sure that we have clear the path for you, and making sure you take the right courses. That's another one. A lot of students tell us, I don't want to take something I don't need to, or I don't have to take. I don't want something that doesn't count. Or, those are some of the things we get a lot in counseling. So this is a way to show you, this is what you need. Here's your starting point. Here's your finish, and everything's spelled out. So there's no guessing of like, oh, what should I take now? What's next? So it does do that. And it does recommendation of courses. Normally math is dictated by major in most cases, not necessarily in all of them, but normally there's a math attached to some of these majors, just because it, depending if you're a STEM major and things like that, you might need specific science and math courses. So for sure, that's why another thing, a lot of students, well, my friend is taking math too. Can I take that? Well, depends on your major. Maybe yes, maybe no. So we have to definitely clarify that as well. So these are some of the guided pathways that we have. And under arts and humanities, we went over art history, communications, English, history, humanities, philosophy, but also we have some things in business and industry. So we have some new ones like entrepreneurship in there. Also, we have public service and health services. That's where you are going to find your psychology, sociology, child development, administration of justice. And now definitely we have a new also another guided pathway that's kind of catered to our sciences, which is our STEM and kinesiology pathway, which follows biology. So that's definitely new to us this upcoming fall. Environmental science, kinesiology, we came up with it last year, so it's definitely developed for sure this year with the courses that you need and having all the major ready. And then also math is new to us as well. So if you want to be a mathematician or dealing with any other thing with math, I always think of teaching with math, but that's definitely new. Vanessa, do you have any questions?
No.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. We just want to make sure that you have a chance to get those questions answered One of the things that we do when we're looking at college is college gives us the chance to broaden our minds. A lot of why students will say, well, I just want to be a nurse, or I just want to do this. How come I have to take English? How come I have to take communications and history and all this? It's because we really want to be much better, well-rounded human beings. And if we have a taste of a lot of different things, then actually we become better citizens too. Even as an English major and a history major, I had to take science classes. And there's a reason for that. It's so that I can understand, it's not to be a scientist, but I understand the process now. I understand the scientific method. I learned that so that I have a basic understanding of how science works, so that when I see things come up in our politics and in our current events and things that go on, I have a better chance to respond appropriately. I'm not a scientist, but I can see what scientists are saying. I can understand to a degree. Oh, all right, now I see why they're saying this. And now, especially in our current situation, now I understand why it's really important to wear that mask. It's really important to socially distance. I understand. I'm not a virologist, but I know what they go through. I know how they create the scientific method for things, how they come up with the facts that they come up with. So important. So to have all of those other classes, that's why general education is so important, because you have a little bit of everything, so that you're a better, well-rounded, you're better at what you do. Whatever your major is, you're going to be better at it for having all of those other classes, if that makes sense.
No, it makes total sense.
Yeah. And so I posted in the chat the form that you would have to fill out, Vanessa, that you participated in the workshop. So what you could do is you could copy it and then paste it. So it would be a short survey that you have to fill out.
Okay.
And like I said, the moment you fill it out, it gets turned in. So you don't have to like, oh, where did I turn it in? It would be turned in for you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Also, before you go, I just wanted to say I'm going to put my email in there as well. Vanessa, since you are a comm studies major, I just want you to be able to get in contact with me if you have any questions, or if you want to chat about it more in depth. I just wanted to make myself available to you. So I'm going to put my info in
I
there.
have a question for you, actually. Were you a drama teacher at Excelsior a while back?
I was. That was me.
Okay, yeah, I recognized you. I was in one of your drama classes.
Oh, were you? It's kind of hard to tell with your photo, but I am sure if I was speaking with you, I'd remember you. So I'm going to go ahead and put my information in there now.
Okay, thank you so much.
No problem.
Awesome. I wish you all kinds of success, Vanessa. Thank you so much for
appreciate it.
Spending some time with us this morning. That was great. Good luck in the drawing.
Thank you.
So, so I think if nobody has any more questions, we could definitely let you, Vanessa, go. Since we concluded the presentation. So, best of luck this fall. I know this is not very common how we're doing our fall semester. A great semester, and definitely reach out to counseling. Definitely, that's your best resource besides your instructors to find out, what's the next step.
All right. Thank you so much, ladies. I appreciate it. Have a great morning.
Thanks for joining us, Vanessa. We appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye.